Ugh. Good. Sorry, I've been sick and I tried to say something and my voice did not come out one little bit. Welcome in every happy Tuesday evening to you all out there. Welcome into another episode of the Barking Brown Show. I'm Jacob, Mr. Casey Kinnaman, and Nick Carnes down below. Brought to you as always by our friends over at SeatGeek. Listen, the Cavs, they've locked up the division. They've already done that. Currently in March, they have played 70, almost 80 games. They're right. They're at 70 some games. They've played 70 some games.
Sounds right.
And they still have less losses than the Browns. Anyway, if you want to get some tickets to go see those guys, go over to SeatGeek. Use our promo code Barking Browns, all one word. Get $20 off your first purchase. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button. Give it a thumbs up there over on YouTube. We appreciate you very, very much. Gentlemen, how are we?
I am doing phenomenal. Actually starting to do my new job, actually be out in the field and kind of see what my new 9 to 5 is going to entail. And I got to be honest, man, I like it. And just excited to see where tonight's show goes. You know, we're in that weird spot. We got just over a month before the draft. The first wave of free agency is kind of over. So we're in this like little weird spot in between the two.
I brought a little St. Patrick's Day with me. We got some Conway's Irish Ale because why not? And I was the one who titled this today Knee Deep in Silly Season because there are some takes that are flowing. And I feel like we've hit that position where it's just like we've been talking about the draft nonstop. And all of a sudden, it's just like we're out of things to talk about. So we're just getting crazy. And I feel like every time we haven't done this in a while because the Browns haven't had first round picks. But every time we've gotten to this point in previous years, it's just the takes start flying, man. And I realized it today. I realized today as I was scrolling that I'm officially done with it. I just don't have any more like quarterback rallying cries to say, hey, I think we should take a quarterback at 2. So I'm just like watching. It's the same takes. It's we should take Abdul Carter and trade down. We should take a franchise quarterback. We've got nothing without it. And it's just that same conversation that we've been having for roughly like probably 2.5 months now. And
feels like 2.5 years.
Yeah, right. And so I've just kind of hit the saturation point, man. So I've got beer and I have no idea where the show is going to go. That's probably my favorite thing about this collection of fine gems here is we never know where the show is going to go. We just kind of talk.
Do you know I saw the funniest thing? I don't know if this is the funniest thing I saw on the internet today because I saw some wild stuff on the internet. But like the funniest Browns thing I ever saw was, well, until they fire that pussy pacifist they have as a head coach, they'll never win any. And I was not ready for someone to call Stefanski a pussy.
Pussy pacifist?
Yeah.
I respect the alliteration.
Yeah, I do. That was a really well put together sentence. And I saw someone say that multiple times in a thread. And I was like, well, now I got to read this thread because I just got to read this thread and see what else it says. And there was a lot of that, a lot of people echoing that he was a pacifist, and I guess part of that had to do with I guess Juan Thornhill was on TikTok Live last night saying he doesn't hold players accountable and everything, and it's like, yeah, who'd you want him to hold accountable? Your bitch ass?
Well, let me ask you something. When somebody slacks on the field and then they get cut before their contract is over, is that not holding players accountable?
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit? I mean, I don't know. Like, I get it. Obviously, you want to do it in season, in game even. Right. But, like, dude was obviously a problem and they cut him when he was, I believe, going to make more with the Browns if he had stayed on the roster than he will with the Steelers this year, if I'm not mistaken. So,
I just
feels
love
like a little bit of accountability.
I just need his agent because he got Ian Rappaport to call him still one of the best safeties in football, and it's like
that's cute.
And then somebody was like, he got miscast. He's a run support. I saw somebody say he's a run support safety, and he got miscast. No, he fucking isn't. He's a deep free safety. That's what they won 2 Super Bowls using him for.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they signed him. Did they miscast John Johnson III when they signed him? Yes. And the way they tried to fix that mistake, but was with Juan Thornhill, who was the best deep free center fielding free safety on the market at the time. But whatever. The fuck do I know?
The last safety that actually gave full effort that was a signing is probably Andrew Sendejo.
Sendejo, you can't question the effort.
Yeah.
You can have other questions, but not the effort. The effort was there.
I felt so bad for him too, because he was supposed to be the third safety. He was supposed to be the dude that plays 20, 25 snaps, whatever, and that you got to move around and kind of use. Getting fired is pretty good accountability. Yeah, man.
Right.
But yeah, he was, and then all of a sudden Grant Delpit tears the Achilles, and they're kind of like, well, you got a good enough skill set to do everything. And he's like, yeah, bro, but like, what he was older too, right? He was he was in his 30s. Like he was on the back end of his career. And damn it if that dude didn't give you 110% on every play. He just didn't have it.
Right.
But I always respected that. That was one thing I'd always respect, is like he'd go out there and he'd bust his tail. And so all right, so let's talk about the free agency moves. Let's start with the free agency moves that have happened.
Okay.
Let's do that. So let
me talk about the one. Can we not talk about the one position that'll derail the show? Free agent move.
We already talked about Kenny Pickett last week.
Yeah, let's not do it again.
That's what I'm saying. We would talk about what's happened since then.
There's some good stuff too. Contrary to popular belief, there's some good stuff.
When did Malik Collins happen? Did we already do Malik Collins?
We should do it again.
I don't think so. I don't know if we did or not.
We did Cornelius Lucas.
We did. But I think that's all we had last time was Kenny Pickett and Cornelius Lucas.
I think that's right.
Okay. So yeah, let's talk some Malik Collins. How do you feel?
Talk about it. Casey, I'll let you start.
Well, if we're talking about Jim Schwartz and what he wants guys to get after the quarterback. This is an upgrade over Dalvin Tomlinson in that regard, and he's cheaper. We'll see if they steer away from going around this time last year. There was a prevailing thought that Jim Schwartz, and he came out and said it later, that he wants to get someone who can play that one tech, a defensive tackle who can kind of occupy space between the guard and the center and kind of give odd fronts that way. I don't think Malik Collins gives you that. He doesn't give you much as far as run support. But I think it's just the prevailing thought of this defense is we'll get after the quarterback and figure the other shit out second. So it fits that. I still think they probably want to get a bigger body on this roster to do that kind of trench work. But as far as $9 million cheaper, and he gets after the quarterback at a higher clip. So I'm in on it.
He signed 5 days ago, so that means we definitely did not talk about it.
Right.
And
I see a lot of promise. I see a lot of promise. I've watched various clips of him rushing the passer, and I still think about how Michael Hall's on the roster, and they just have always had that goal to get after the quarterback. And I feel like it's a broken record to talk about how if the offense can just be good to where the defense can be at advantageous positions, at least some of the time, you could really see what they're trying to do defensively shine. I just think in general that we haven't seen nearly enough of that type of opportunity. And so I'm hoping this year, whoever it is at quarterback, because still don't know, we can get to that point, because damn it, they've got a lot of pass rush along that line now. And I think it's a nice move. I think if you're getting cheaper, if you're saving money and you're still getting a damn good player, which I think Malik Collins is, that feels good to me. It seems like it's one of those under the radar additions that maybe isn't like the sexiest thing in the world, but I certainly expect him to be a contributor. I'm not sure how they're gonna decide who's starting on the defensive line. That'll be interesting to see how it shakes out, but I know they'll all play.
Yeah, I think they got a little bit cheaper. Going from Dalvin to Malik Collins. Malik Collins can't do the run defense stuff quite as well, but he's got enough size to him where he can be. And he's like three. I think they have him listed at 310,
Yeah.
and he can be better in that sense. So I'm really intrigued by it. The Devin Bush thing was pretty cool to see him come back.
Yeah.
But Malik Collins, yeah, he's an effective pass rusher. And they need to go get some. Shelby Harris can defend the run, but I would like to see somebody else that can defend the run, even if it's just like he could be a little bit of a pass rusher and a little bit of a run defender, like something like that, similar to what Dalvin was on a little bit of a bigger scale. But I mean, as far as this is the thing, outside of what they've done at quarterback, I've liked what they've done. I'm considering where this roster is and what they needed to do. They have gone at the middling tier and they have not overpaid for anybody. And I think outside of the quarterback position, I think the team's better because I don't think they've lost anybody that like really scares me. Yeah. Did we talk about Joe Tryon last week?
I think just a little bit.
Okay. So we'll talk about him in just a second then.
He would have been signed though during the last pod. So
we probably talked about it a little bit.
Yeah, but look, man, the quarterback took such
a
massive chunk of the show.
I think we talked about 45 minutes on the quarterback.
That's what I'm saying.
Because it was such a shock. It's like we probably didn't give enough love to all the other additions and signings that they've done.
So we'll get to those in a second. Then we'll do that. I do like Bill's comment. Let's go with the all gloved quarterbacks. Let's get Teddy Bridgewater.
I
still remember the blow for Bridgewater campaign. Okay,
I do too. Yeah. Old Teddy Two Gloves. He's like the greatest. Like, man, if he had just not those injuries early on, like he's just one of those guys where you just like it kind of breaks your heart a little bit to be like, man, I wonder what he would have been. You know, him and Sam Bradford was similar. Sam Bradford was like, and then Sam Bradford would start to look like a quarterback again. You're like, yeah, and then it'd be like, boom, hurt again. I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I'm like, what this dude do? Walk under a bunch of ladders and get bad luck, or break some mirrors and get bad luck for the rest of his life? But yeah, no, I like Malik Collins. Let's go to Joe Tryon then. Let's go to Joe Tryon Shoyinka. Bill made the comment at underdeveloped pass rusher in Tampa Bay. This is a dude, athletically speaking, that is freaky. It is a freaky level style athlete. What was his? He had like a 9.7 RAS or something of that level. You're talking about he was grossly overdrafted. Like he was not a first. He was a dude I was like mocking in the third because he wasn't that developed coming out of college. He was a very limited like bag of pass rush moves, and he was just basically out athleting everybody when he came out of Washington. But like this is a dude that just never quite got there. 4 seasons, 15 sacks. It just never quite got there. It'd be very interesting to see what happens here under Jim Schwartz and opposite Myles Garrett and all these other things that you get to do in Cleveland in terms of like, hey, let me kind of take a flyer on a dude that's got all of the traits for next to nothing. Like you didn't pay very much money. It is what, like a $375 million, something like
that. It's not a big signing.
He, in terms of physical gifts, he's got a ton of physical gifts. Yeah. Has a motor that doesn't stop. He's a high effort guy. If you can tap into some of that stuff, man, like you might have a decent player there.
I see him as a sub package guy, not an early down, dirty work, edge setter. He's not going to be asked to do. Hopefully they don't ask him to do that stuff too much and just play to his strengths. Let him get on these NASCAR packages. Let him get in that wide 9. Let him utilize his physical gifts. And, like when we talked about the Malik Collins thing, this team is this defense, ton of talent, ton of speed, ton of athleticism, but it's built to play with a lead. It's built to get after passers. It's not built to be down 14 points and have to be stout against the run to stop the clock from bleeding, Yeah. So they're leaning into it still. So they obviously believe in the plan long-term where you would start to shift away from that nasty speed defense. It's just literally built to get after quarterbacks. But this is once again, how we talked about Collins being an upgrade of a pass rusher over Dalvin Tomlinson. This is replacing Obo. You know what I mean? This is getting that sub package, just pass rushing guy opposite of Miles. Sometimes you'll probably spell Miles on some downs, but you want to think that when it is go time on third and longs, that Miles is on the field. But this is just another move to get after quarterbacks, man. They're not hiding it. This is the game plan.
I like their commitment to it because 2 years ago the defense was damn good and got to feast on a lot of quarterbacks, and we saw, I think, the vision of what they wanted the defense to be. And I don't think the non-functional offense takes away from the fact that the defense is damn good at pass rushing. It's just they're not being put in situations to really show that. And so that's my greatest hope for this year is that, okay, I'm not going to be pie in the sky and say, like, give me a top 10 offense, but like, could you be top 15? Could you be like a functional, reasonable offense that isn't constantly I see.
I don't know.
I
That's a pretty big ask.
I know you guys are both work with Pete Smith, and he talks about all the time, and I've had a lot of back and forth with him. He talks all the time about if the Browns draft Abdul Carter, the opposing offenses are not going to be able to score points. They've got all this talent on defense, and like on paper, I agree with that. But we've seen as Browns fans time and time and time again, even when you have all this talent on defense, you get to about week 7, your offense is not working. The defense gets demoralized. The defense is going to be out there on the field all the time. They get tired, and they're not anywhere near what their potential is. And so, like, I understand on that it makes sense in theory to add all this talent on defense and that they can be dominant, but it only works if you have an offense that's at least functional. And so that's why I keep emphasizing the quarterback. I don't know which way they're going to go, but my point is, I do think that what they're doing on defense is sound in terms of philosophy, and the foundation that they're building is good. They obviously have a good eye for pass rushers and guys that can do it. Like, I still have high hopes in McGuire. If Alex Wright can stay healthy, I still think about that safety he had that basically ended the Jacksonville game and got them one of their 3 wins last year. Obviously, you have Myles Garrett, and we're talking about trying. There's a lot of good there. So that's where I keep looking, because I do think that Jim Schwartz is good at this, and I do think that they can be a dominant defense like we saw 2 years ago. It's just, what are we doing on offense? And I don't want to make the whole show about offense, but that's.
So I was thinking, and I've got a Pokemon reference, right? I got a Pokemon metaphor I need to make. All right, to get this. Do you know who
Trying to see.
You know who this is?
I can see the outline, but not fully. Is that Nidoking?
No. It's the Rhyhorn becomes
Rhyperior?
No, below that.
Rhydon?
Yeah, why don't you ride on this dick, bitch?
God damn it, Jacob.
Double bird.
He walked you right into it. He
was
your Sherpa to get you to that line.
Double birds.
Using my Pokemon knowledge against me?
He did.
Wow.
Hey, the problem was I was like, shit, it's not gonna unglare enough for him to even see what it is. It's like it's not gonna unglare.
I'm gonna get another beer.
He's a big.
I would have never gotten there, so I'm glad you didn't come at me with that. I would have never gotten there.
Well, I was just throwing it out there because I figured, like, probably somewhere between the two of you, we could, like, make our way over there. It is what it is. How annoyed are you that Aaron Rodgers is holding everything up right now?
I mean, this is who he is. Like, you think he was going to make anything easy ever, dude? That dude because by doing this, he gets to be the topic of conversation. We've seen him do this during the draft. He'll make things about him that aren't about him. And when he gets a chance to make it about him, buddy, he's taking it.
It's like, because he's got what really. He keeps the claim is he wants to go to Minnesota. It doesn't sound like Minnesota wants him. I wouldn't want him if I was Minnesota.
He has to complete the arc. The only thing he hasn't done yet is send stick pics to somebody. He has to send stick pics to someone and then get to Minnesota, and then the circle can be complete.
Yeah.
I don't understand that. Like you draft JJ McCarthy, and you're clearly using all that extra money to beef up the defense, and I just feel like if you believed in JJ McCarthy enough to draft him in the first round, you gotta go forward with him, because if you let him play behind Rodgers for a year, that's another year that he just is not getting that experience they need.
Bill says, if I were a GM, I'd wait for Rodgers to make his decision and immediately announce a trade to take him out of the media cycle.
I love it. Do that.
I love that.
Do that.
What if Garrett grinning talking about all he knows as a quarterback was Rodgers? That would blow up the internet. It probably would.
That's the wild card right now.
Could you imagine? Because and we got the Deshaun Watson workout video today. That was great.
But we didn't get it over here.
Yeah.
I didn't get that.
Well, I will say that nobody had Pickett, right? Nobody had the Pickett stuff. So it would just make total sense for this offseason to just complete with the Browns signing Aaron Rodgers.
I just think we are where we are because Aaron Rodgers won't make a decision because so he's got at least two teams in Pittsburgh and the Giants kind of in limbo because those teams are the rumored teams. Yeah. And that in turn is causing the other veteran quarterbacks to have to hold up, which is affecting Cleveland, which is also in turn affecting wide receivers and running backs and all this crap where we're not getting any. Yeah, that's definitely why he was.
Yeah, there it is.
I feel like it is going to be Wentz.
Wentz picked up traction over the weekend. That's what I was told was he's picking up traction. And I'm like, shit.
I will never forget when we traded down and we gave Philly Wentz and they played us the opening week and he just destroyed the Eagles destroyed us. And it was like the perfect storm of awful. I'll never forget it. And so if we come full circle, I mean, not that I really think Carson Wentz is going to be some revelation, but it would be funny if they brought him in. He is a veteran. I mean, he's been there before. What do you remember? Okay, so on that Nick Foles run, which is forever ago, is that 2019?
2017.
No, 21? 2017. God, even longer ago. Anyway, Wentz, before he went out for the season, was being talked about as an MVP candidate. And I know that's an entire era ago.
He was the MVP. He was going to be the MVP.
And he's just never been the same since. He's just never what happened? I think that's a great question.
I think it's between the ears more than anything. I think he got hurt and then kind of started questioning everything and then
the stint in Indy really hurt his overall stock. There were some terrible decisions made in Indy, some of those plays making bad to worse all the time, But how do you rehab your image? Go to a Andy Reid, go to a McVay, go to a Shanahan, be the backup, learn the system, and you know what I mean.
Well, we're all talking about this. Casey, you've brought it up before, but it's can we identify the next Sam Darnold? Who's gonna? Because you saw it with Geno Smith, obviously that happened with Geno, where he was kind of dormant. Geno was dormant for a long time. I forgot Geno was in the league until the year before he became the starter, when Russell went down in a Thursday night game or whatever, and then they're like, oh, "Here comes the backup quarterback, Geno Smith," and I'm like, "That motherfucker's still in the league." I had just forgot that he was still in the NFL. And then, of course, with Darnold, he goes, like you said, does a Shanahan thing. Well, Wentz just went and did the Andy Reid thing. So it's like if there was going to be a guy, it would be him. I'm not advocating for it. I think I would prefer it over some of the other options.
He's 32, so he's not ancient.
No, he's not Joe Flacco.
Sad.
Oh yeah. Hold on a second. I think I've got a grenade down here. Oh, Nick. So earlier I was talking to Casey, and he told me the worst thing that will ever happen to the Cleveland Browns is if they were to draft Shedeur Sanders. There, boom, take it.
I can't. Okay, number one, I just think okay, everybody emphasizes team building and talent building, and like I understand that. But again, this regime doesn't have the ability to take a blue chip prospect and fail this year. They'll all be fired. So I just don't think they can operate that way. And I think in their situation, they like part of me, okay, I'm Jekyll and Hyde here. 50% of me says 2 years ago they won with 4 different quarterbacks and they figured it out, and PJ Walker beat the 49ers and Joe Flacco and even Dorian Thompson-Robinson beat the Steelers. He doesn't even look like an NFL quarterback. So 50% of me is there. The other part of me just says we have only drafted a quarterback in the top 5 twice in I don't know the exact stat.
Twice, yeah.
It's twice in like the last however many.
It's Tim Couch and Baker Mayfield. And
so I just think in this situation they need to take the biggest upside swing at the quarterback position they can take. But the guy with in his greatest outcome is the best quarterback that they can get their hands on. I think that is really their only way. Their only true way out of this is to have a rookie quarterback contract that can help ease the pain of still paying Deshaun Watson and can help them just move forward with a face of the franchise and just a direction. And because it's like you just see everything that they do, They posted, and maybe we can talk about this. They posted a new stadium video today, right? This place looks like a palace. It really, they certainly do that well. And it's just like every comment is like, put a winning football team on the field. And like you see the other stuff. It's like, why do you think the Browns are giving a free Journey concert out to season ticket members only? It's because they're never going to tell you, but they got big time cancellations because people are sick of their shit. They don't have a franchise quarterback. They don't have any type of leadership. Like they just made Myles Garrett, aside from Jamar Chase, the highest paid non-quarterback. And then an article comes out from Lloyd questioning his leadership, right? And it's just, I don't know whether that's true or not. But what I can tell you is that they have a gaping hole of face of the franchise, leader, somebody to be like, I'm not saying Kevin Stefanski's a pussy pacifist or whatever, but there's just nobody in this franchise right now that's like the Browns so desperately need somebody to just be the center of their foundation, the rock of their organization, and like the steady, like Joe Burrow makes it possible for the Bengals to finally buck up and pay T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, and maybe they're going to pay Trey Hendrickson too. It's like somebody has to be that anchor in the storm that just keeps the Browns franchise steady. And they just, even though Kevin Stefanski's won Coach of the Year twice and this regime's in year 6, they just don't have it, man. They don't have it, and they have to get it. They're never going to be good until they get somebody that is just going to be the calm in the storm that is the Cleveland Browns. And I just so firmly believe that I can't get off of it. I can't.
But you also can't manifest that to happen. The player that can make that happen needs to be there and be available for you to take to make that happen. And Tennessee holds our fate.
You can't force it. I know you can't force it. But they, okay, if you started over with a new regime, I could be like, okay, well then let's wait until next year. This regime can't. The timelines don't match, Casey. The
I know,
timelines.
that's what I'm saying. They can't afford to just take a swing on a quarterback just to take a quarterback. They have to believe in said quarterback.
When you said they got to take a swing on something with the uphill ceiling, and you just mentioned drafting the quarterback with one of the lowest ceilings in the entire draft. Like Shedeur is an incredibly limited ceiling player. Like you're like, oh, you got to take if you're going to take a swing, you know, with the upward potential, you know, it's Jalen Milroe. Hell, it's fucking Jackson Dart. At that point, like,
oh God,
it's not Shedeur Sanders, who's got like an average arm, an average athlete. He weighed 198 pounds this year. He takes 30-yard sacks. You really want to bring out a guy that in the Big 12 was taking 30-yard sacks? Did you watch that bowl game?
Yeah.
Because I watched them go from first and goal to out of field goal range. Out of field goal range.
MC, I have this conversation with Pete Smith all the time. I don't care how much talent you put on defense. If the offense isn't good, they're going to give up by week 7. We've seen it for multiple. I'm 34 years old. I've seen it for every decade of my life. I don't care how much talent you put on the defense. If your offense sucks, it's over by week 7, and the defense knows it too.
They didn't give up in 2023 by week 7, did they?
No.
It's about keeping them fresh. It's about having an efficient offense that can win time of possession and extend drives and give the defense time to rest. You know, and you can build towards that. You know, it's just like the timelines don't match. This regime can't just go all in on a rookie quarterback, and because even if they do, they got to win 7-8 games to keep their jobs. Like, and I've talked about this with Jacob. Like, look at New England. The rookie had a decent season. He looks good. People believe in Drake May. They didn't win enough games. If that had been the Browns, those dudes would have been fired.
Yep.
Winning 3-4 games was not going to be enough. You know, so they got to figure out ways to win games, and a guy who can play now. And the crazy thing is, I don't know who it's going to be. It could be Shedeur. I don't know who it's going to be. You know, but I don't listen to a damn word they say. And no team at this point. I'm listening to what they say. It's what they do. It's their actions. So we'll know a lot about what they think, where they're at in their process by the quarterback that they target.
I just gotta ask. Sorry, I just want to, like, okay, you come off 3 wins, and Casey, you just said like 7-8 games of wins. Like you're a regime in year 6. Like I don't think 7 or 8 wins. Like I don't care about the circumstances. You put yourself in those own circumstances. Like I don't think it's good enough to win 7 or 8 games, and I don't care what the realistic expectation should be. That you're a regime in year 6 that's not good enough to me. It's just not. I personally think they should have been fired after this year, and they should have just restarted it.
Doesn't that tell you how much of a hand Jimmy played in this? He didn't fire them after this year.
It's probably fair.
I think that's pretty telling. That's
probably fair.
He knows how much of a hand he played. So I think that, like I said, it's actions. You just got to follow the actions and make your deductions based off that.
You're right.
Can we talk about some of these silly ass fucking takes that are going on?
Yeah, let's go.
Please.
Where do we want to start? Which one? Do you want me to start with the Mary Kay one because it's the wildest shit I've ever
talk about my girl?
I respect Mary Kay because she has been doing this for decades, and that's not easy on the soul. Like she shows up to work every damn day and watches that shit show. So I respect what she does. Like I really do. But most of the time, I feel like when she it's the greatest take of all time, Jack says. Most of the time when she comes out and gives her, I don't think she often does hot takes, in my personal opinion. I don't think that's like her.
People ask her and she says shit off the cuff. She's not like brewing it up like I'm going to blow their fucking mind.
Yeah. Somebody's going to be like, hey, would you do this? And she'd be like, you know what? Like, that's usually what you're right. Exactly. She's not on that one ultimate Cleveland. Anyway, trying to get attention. But my thing is, she's in there and she keeps hammering. They love Shedeur. They're going to take Shedeur at 2. They're going to take Shedeur at 2. And whatever, that's fine. If you believe that, that's fine. And she's like, she's like, but you know what I would do? I would double down. And I'm like, okay. Because I think a day 3 quarterback, like I have no, like I, Mary is my goat after that hot take, first ballot Hall of Fame level hot take. And it was definitely.
something.
And but I have talked to people about it, about like taking a day 3 quarterback on top of it, doing what they did with RG3 when they took RG3 in the first round, in the 4th round they doubled down, they took Kirk Cousins, like it's something like that. It's like yeah, you could. It's a 3rd round pick, that's a dart throw. She's like, I'm gonna take Shedeur at 2, then I'm gonna trade back into the 1st round, and I'm gonna take Tyler Shough. And this is not even me taking a shot at Tyler Shough.
Come on, man. Come on.
But what the fuck?
Come on. She got roasted all day. All day.
I like Tyler Shough. I'm not quite as much as like our good friend Bill thinks he's a first round talent, and I'm not even getting into that because a lot of the issues I have with Tyler Shough aren't necessarily about his talent, the injury history, which they have been broken bones, so it's not like they're long lasting injuries and things like that. But he'll be 26 in September, and he's the 2nd quarterback. So what, you want to sit him down until he's like 28 or 29 and then give him a shot? Like, I'm like, how do you want to, so in turn, what it's going to take, it depends on where you go back in the 1st round. You're probably going to lose one of your 3rd round picks for sure, I think. And then maybe a day 3 pick. So then you are down to 8 total picks. If you give up 2 picks to trade up, you're down to 8 picks and 2 of them were quarterbacks.
You know what pick they trade up to, right? 22.
22 or 24, because
22, because that's where they take that quarterback that never works.
That is the cursed number of all cursed numbers.
I forgot that was my I blanked on that.
24 is where I'd expect them to actually trade up, but I'm not even sure to be for a quarterback. I think Minnesota doesn't have a ton of picks.
Bill said, for what it's worth, I like Shough at quarterback, but when I heard MKC say that, immediate Weeden flashbacks were triggered.
Yeah, I just hope like if you do end up with Shough, he doesn't get trapped under a flag on opening day.
Yeah.
That was the Wentz game too, right?
No.
Right?
It was against the Eagles though in 2012.
Oh, okay. I got my timelines.
We lost by 1 point, 15 to 16, I believe.
Yeah, because he threw 4 interceptions.
DeQuell had a pick 6. I remember that.
Yeah, the worst Browns quarterback debut of all time.
Feels right. I was in the stadium for it. It sucked.
I broke a laptop after that.
You did?
Yeah, I was watching it on a laptop. I was 21. I was, and I was watching it, and because they had the ball and they kind of started to move the ball, and then Weeden threw an interception and I punched it. I punched the laptop and I hit it with my middle knuckle and it just shattered it. It was a MacBook.
Fun fact about that game: Art Modell died right before that, and every stadium in the NFL had a 30-second moment of silence except for Cleveland. They didn't even try it.
They knew.
Yeah.
So
prepared to lose my voice booing so hard.
All right, that's the hot take that
I was in the stadium for that game. I was there. The closest I have ever sat to the football game was for that game.
That's great.
That was.
Well, you've sat closer than that. You've sat in Andy's seats multiple times.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair.
Sorry,
the closest I've ever sat that's not Andy. They actually had to buy.
So next, someone else give me one of these silly ass takes we need to talk about.
You guys got to jump in. I've been on the internet. Been at work all day. What else have you seen?
That's definitely the silliest one I've seen.
That's the one that's like taken priority. I already brought up
Jason Lloyd's got clowned a ton lately. I know that's been a thing that's been happening.
Jason Lloyd's. He made one today. I didn't think it was the craziest thing I've ever. He's like, go get Desmond Ritter and Trey Lance.
Oh, that one. What do you have to lose? He said, which is.
I think you can go get one of them.
Yeah.
But you already got
It's a reclamation. That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm cool. As a flyer, it's not going to cost you anything. You're not going to have to give up a 5th round pick to go get him. Cool.
I mean, Trey Lance is a free agent.
That's what I'm saying. You don't have to, as opposed to someone else you give a 5th round for. You ain't got to do that. Just get him in the building. Wide net, baby. Wide net.
Sure.
Yeah. So I don't think that's that crazy anyway. I don't find that take that crazy. I know some people.
Yeah, I wasn't talking about today. I just know this week he's said some things and people were up in arms.
That's the one I've seen.
But if they go that route, then Kenny Pickett's your backup, right?
Well,
Most likely.
you still don't know if they draft one, so
I think they have to draft one. It's just
where.
where. It's just where.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I've settled on like, okay, if they don't take a quarterback at 2, I just hope that they do trade up from their top pick in the 2nd round and get that 5-year contract, the 5th-year option on the quarterback. Trade up into the 1st round and get whatever, whether it's Milroe or whoever. I really like if you hit on the quarterback, I don't think it matters where you draft him. And so I think your most valuable situation is getting the 5th-year option on the guy.
I think they take a quarterback within their first 3 picks. I don't know where. I don't know if they'll trade up. I don't know where, but I do think they'll make enough of a point to where at worst they do it with their first third round pick. I'm kind of inclined to believe that 33, rather they move up or not. I'm kind of inclined to think that that's the sweet spot because that's right when you're getting into the 2nd tier. It's just going to depend. Pittsburgh's a big one. Pittsburgh's is a really big one because there's a lot of love for Jackson Dart and Will Howard.
Yep.
From Pittsburgh. So it's going to be like, does he get past Pittsburgh? Does one of those guys get past Pittsburgh? And then you start calling Minnesota or whoever and be like, yeah, let me get up there and let me grab this guy, whoever it might be. That kind of thing. But yeah, I think within their first 3 picks, they'll take at least one.
Somebody had a mock draft. Somebody reputable had a mock draft today that had Luther Burden falling out of the 1st round.
It's been a common theme lately. The last 2 weeks.
Did somebody do that? Could it have fucking been me?
Did you do it?
Yeah.
Well, I'm
Yes.
sorry, I didn't know. Are you taking Luther Burden? I'm running the card up.
Yesterday. That was my mock yesterday.
Well, I didn't get to see your mock yesterday. I'm sorry.
Well, you said
You're
you
on the
saw
same
a mock
page, though,
today.
obviously.
You said it.
Well, I think that's the move, though, at 33. As far as the guys who are instantly going to be able to help your team. If you look at the positions, wide receiver and left tackle,
Right.
whoever makes their slides far enough and gets in that 2nd round range, you have immediate needs there, and I still think like between now, I don't think you're going to add any more. You're not going to add a left tackle between now and then. Lucas was your tackle ad. He can start if he has to, but he can also be a swing. So you're good there. But you have a need at wide receiver too.
Mm-hmm.
Will you fill that? Will you trade for someone by then and kind of push that out of our realm? Because there's several options of guys who could just be outside that 1st round bubble. That if Burden were to slide, I think that's a good one. And he even kind of does similar things to Judy. But you need more playmakers. You need more playmakers on this offense, and you can't turn them down. You just need, you can't just go wish casting for. We know we need an outside Z. This isn't the draft for that, right? It doesn't feel like this is the draft for that.
Not really. Yeah, the thing about Burden is I think he could fall out of the first just solely because he's going to get pigeonholed as a slot-only receiver. I think he is a slot-only receiver at the next level. I that's where I'm at with him. Not that he can't be I don't think that's that damning thing that it used to be. Like, it used to be kind of damning if he was like, wow, he's limited the slot. And it's like, oh, I can't take him to the third round. Some of the best wide receivers in the NFL do a lot of their work out of the slot.
Like they said,
CeeDee Lamb, who people view as an outside. CeeDee Lamb is a prime guy that if you look, you don't think slot receiver when you see him, but look where his damage is done.
Look what Jerry Jeudy did. Jerry Jeudy did a lot of damage out of the slot this year.
A lot of people said Ladd McConkey couldn't play on the outside leading up to the draft, and he had a hell of a year. I mean, there was a lot of talk. Amon-Ra St. Brown is another good example of somebody who started in the slot and like plays a lot more on the outside now. I'm not saying that it's a direct pipeline, but I do think I want to get to Ben's comment about if Sanders was Jared Goff, but I also wanted to ask you both because there's been a lot of chatter I've seen about how like the Browns want to be the Eagles and they just want to take the best players available, i.e. Abdul Carter, Luther Burden if he falls, Luther Burden if he falls, that type of situation. And I think there is some steam to that. Like if all of a sudden you just start drafting the best players you can get, I mean, it's hard to hate that. It's hard even for me who wants a quarterback early. Like if they get a bunch of difference makers, I just keep thinking about how they made it work with some of these quarterbacks. And it's like, if all of a sudden you got Njoku, Burden, and Jeudy, and then you've got Myles Garrett and Abdul Carter, and that just begins your pass rush. Like, feels pretty exciting. It feels like a foundation to build off of.
Well, and then you take advantage of this running back class too on top of that. Mm-hmm. That's honest to God. Like Jason put the comment that he thinks Will Howard will be Eli Manning, won't win because of him, but will be good enough to not lose because of him. That's why I'm not as concerned. Like if you can't get Cam Ward, the reason I wouldn't get Shedeur Sanders is I can get a limited guy who can manage an offense in the second wave on day 2, to where if I put a great offense or a great group of skill players around him, I think they can work with that. And Shedeur can work with that too. So I mean, like if that's ultimately what you want to do, then do it. But to me, I think you get Abdul Carter and then you take Will Howard or Jackson Dart or you could take Milroe, but you got to understand Milroe's not playing this year. Like he should not play this year.
Yeah.
Or you could take a Kyle McCord, you can take a Tyler Shuck, and just put everything around him. I think that's the best way out because, I mean, getting somebody that turns into a Jared Goff, they won 15 games, 14 games. I mean, what do you want?
But Jacob, we always say X so-and-so person shouldn't play this year. They always play. They always play, especially in Cleveland. I don't know what black cloud it is over our quarterbacks, but they get hurt. I mean, Dorian Thompson-Robinson comes in for a final run it out in the clock, and he destroys his hip or whatever it is he did.
It was his hip, yeah. Still
right, it was his hip. Like they always play. So like whenever you say to me like he shouldn't play, I already know he's playing, Jacob. I already know. So if you take Jalen Milroe, you have to be comfortable with him playing this. I just feel like you have to because we've seen it time and time and time again. And especially in Cleveland where like, okay, I don't know who they're going to get in the rest of the quarterback room, but they're going to hit, week whatever, and there's just going to be nonstop cries to see the rookie that they take because they need to know, because especially for this regime in this place that they're in, whoever they take at quarterback, I think largely whether it's number 2 overall or whether it's in the 4th round, whoever this regime takes a quarterback, I think their job's right on. If they hit on if that quarterback looks promising, I think they'll keep their jobs. If that quarterback looks like dog shit, They're going to all be fired. And so I think that the pressure and the position that this regime is in going to year 6 is going to force whoever they take out on the field, because they need to know what they have, and they need to know if this regime can draft, develop, and identify a quarterback. So I'm just saying that is the expectation I'm going into the year with, because we've seen this too many times, man. Their jobs rely on if they can get a quarterback. I think plain and simple, if they can get one, they'll keep their jobs. If they can't, they'll be fired. So
If they
no
can
matter
get
who
a
they
journeyman,
take,
though, get a journeyman and win 8-9 games, I don't think if it's a 4th-round quarterback, I don't think the pressure's there if you're winning games. If you're 2-6,
sure.
of course, it gets loud.
Right.
And like you said, with getting a guy to develop him, he shouldn't play this year. If you want to hear the football gods laugh, just tell them you're playing.
Yeah.
We've seen that play out way too many times. So I
Which
agree.
is why I probably wouldn't take him if I'm
Yeah,
Cleveland.
100%. 100%. I think but that's the reason. If I'm banking on one of those, if that's the move, and they do go Carter or however this plays out, and they don't take a quarterback till 67 to 104 in that range, they take a quarterback in that range. I think there's a ton of guys in this draft with a lot of experience.
Yeah.
That's where I would rely. If in that range, I would rely on that, because then if they're forcing the duty, you can at least tread water with them. You don't want to get a guy who's just going to go out there and drown. And then we've seen this time and time again too, where you can ruin these dudes. You can break their confidence and just ruin them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Will Howard, if you're going later, Will Howard's in play. I think Kyle McCord's in play. I like Taylor Gabriel. He's also a guy that if I were to take 2 quarterbacks, I would really want him to be my second. I think he would thrive. Sorry. I know Taylor Gabriel. That's the problem.
Taylor Gabriel was a wide receiver for the Browns.
Yeah.
It was.
I liked him too. My statement stands. I liked him too.
I liked Taylor Gabriel. He's a fun player.
Yeah. But I
also played for the Falcons too.
Yeah.
It's not a deep quarterback class, but there are pockets of acceptable ranges to take guys and be okay with that outcome. I'm just worried that if you reach, because make no mistake, if you take a quarterback at 2, all your chips are in on that guy right now.
Right.
Oh,
from
yeah.
day one. From
Yeah.
day
Right.
one.
Yep.
So, and I feel like that's a great place to summarize all of this, because I think it was Ben who said, if Shedeur is Jared Goff, is that somebody that you're going to take it to? With the unknowns, okay, Shedeur is Goff, and Cam Ward's gone, and you have a bunch of unknowns later in the draft, Will Howard, whatever. If you can get Jared Goff, are you taking him at 2?
My problem with Goff, sure was going to look to replace him in the end. In the end, he's not going to be good enough to take you where you want to go. You can build your roster up the way Detroit did or the way that the Rams did. He's a good quarterback. He's not bad. He's going to win enough regular season games. You're going to sell tickets. But at the end of the day, he's going to hold you back from that final level. Well, the Browns aren't even to that stage yet. So I think people would be happy with the wins part. But eventually, that gets stale because you want to the top of the mountain.
Travis Benjamin, shout out to Travis Benjamin, the rabbit.
Hey, he had a reasonable run with the Chargers after the Browns. He did.
He had that deep touchdown from Johnny Manziel against the Chargers.
I remember that.
In person, I've seen Benjamin break 2. He holds 2 Browns records. I saw him break.
Wow.
Nice.
I just think
here's my thing. Just because you asked the question. So the thing about it that I come back to with him is because of his physical characteristics, his physical traits, the things that you cannot do anything about. Like you're not going. He can get a stronger arm, so to speak, but he's not going to get more arm talent.
Right.
He's not going to become a better athlete. Marginally, he can do those things, but it's not. He has physical limitations. At best, I see him top 16. Is that good enough at number 2 overall? I'm not sure that it is. Now, because I think on day 2, I can get a guy that has the traits to be top 16. And I can also have Abdul Carter and that guy. That's where
if you believe in a guy later that can be in that same tier, then I understand that logic. If this was a new regime, I would say no. We're not taking Jared Goff at 2, and we can wait a year, like maybe like the Titans did, or whatever. But I just think in this regime situation, they would probably be very happy with Jared Goff right now if they could get their hands on Jared Goff, given that we've said that they've won with a bunch of guys that are not Jared. They would probably be, because that would most likely save their jobs. If Jared Goff spontaneously became the Cleveland Browns quarterback, I would say the Browns could win 10 games, compete for the playoffs, and this regime would save their jobs. Is that a hot take?
Jared Goff, because rookie Jared Goff wouldn't save shit.
True.
Same player. True. He just hadn't developed into the king of the mids. Like he's like king mid. You know what I mean? He's the best of all the mids.
I agree. And they are a couple. And to their credit, with Detroit's roster building as outside of him, they are a couple of plays from the Super Bowl, and that didn't go their way, and so we'll see what happens with them. And Goff's been there before, so it's not an easy path. I get it. You obviously want a higher ceiling than Goff provides.
No, but we've seen it also with the Eagles. Do I think Jalen Hurts is a top 5 quarterback? I don't. But when you have that much talent around him, and you built from the trenches, great offensive line, great defensive line, that level of player with that surrounding, that's a perfect storm. It's banking on a lot of shit to go right around him to be able to. His talent doesn't hold you down. He's just good enough to win. And you trade for Saquon Barkley. All those things have to go right. But that level of quarterback can win with all those things going right. The Browns just aren't at that level to where they can win with that style of quarterback at this time.
I agree with you. I think Mo brings up an interesting thought that I want to ask you both about, because I know we're getting late here. Okay, so let's say the Browns, are that 7-8 win team that you suggested they could be, Casey. That makes them taking their quarterback in the next draft more difficult, because they're not going to be top 2 or whatever. Does it scare you at all that either of you, does it scare either of you at all that, trading up is always a very expensive business in the NFL draft? And I just feel like the Browns need all the picks that they can get. Does it scare you that maybe they pick, let's say they pick 13th, right? And they've got to get to 3 to get their quarterback. Like, does that proposition scare you in 2026? Because that is something I have a big concern about. Yeah,
13th to 3, that's going to be a hell of a steep come up.
Right. If you're a 7-8 win team, you're probably somewhere around there, right?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen them. If you think about the 21 team or the 19 team, what they go 6-10.
Yeah.
And that put them at 10th. They had the 10th overall pick in the following draft. So, similar ranges. I mean, I'm not banking on next year's quarterback class being the answer to all prayers.
Okay.
From the outset, as we stand here today, are there more than 3 guys that you believe would be better than these guys this year? Probably. We'll pick that apart as it gets there, and there'll be other guys that emerge. It's such an evolving thing. You really can't bank on that. But you also can't bank on fighting your way up into that top 5 to get a guy. That doesn't mean you can't squeeze blood out of a stone. You can't make something be something it isn't. Just because you're 2, it's sometimes you suck in the wrong year. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then the Bengals were decent for years and years. Had one bad year. The one year they were truly bad was the year Burrow was in the draft.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
must be nice.
And then they went right back to the bullshit.
Better lucky than good.
Yeah. Sometimes, luck has and that's even in drafting. Luck has a lot to do with it. Like Can't bank on that shit. Sometimes you just get lucky.
Mhm. I feel like this is a great place to end it because we're right there. So it's March 18th. The draft is April
4th,
24th. Yeah, 36 sleeps.
36 sleeps, boys.
36 sleeps. So we've got approximately 4 shows between now and then. So I don't know what's going to happen. There's probably going to be a lot. We're going to get into peak smokescreen silly season.
We've already seen all these peaks and valleys of Tennessee's definitely taking Abdul Carter. Or Tennessee, that was 4 weeks ago. Then 2 weeks ago, Tennessee's definitely trading the pick.
Yes.
And now we're to Tennessee's definitely taking Cam Ward. Like
They've
this
always,
is just going
but
to be
but they try to gaslight us and be like, "What are you talking about? They've always been taking Cam Ward." It's like, no, that is not what you said.
Right. I don't know. I have no idea where any of this goes, but we're going to talk about it all along the way. And I just want to say as we end here, thank you to MC for saying, please click that like and subscribe button. We had a nice spike in views last week. We very much appreciate that. And we grew in subscribers as well. Still trying to grow here and pursue this whole thing. I may have an idea for a little giveaway. I'll keep you guys posted on that because we are getting the support. So thank you to everybody for being here, man, because I know there's a lot of different opinions on how the Browns proceed forward, but everybody here has had great discussions. So thank you to all of you for taking the time to be with us. This has been a peak silly season episode of the Barking Browns Show. Nick, he's Jacob. That's Casey. Go Browns.